Good morning. Today I'm going to take you through what I call being a behavior detective. And so being a behavior detective with our kids is something that's really challenging, but it's so important for our kids with learning differences. And I'm going to use an example from my very own home that happened yesterday. Now, yesterday, I feel like I actually wasn't a jerk, which I can be sometimes. And I felt really good about the way it went. And I thought I can share this with people because often when I try to intervene with my kids who are having learning difficulties, it doesn't go so well. And even having a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge around learning doesn't necessarily help you effectively parent and communicate that knowledge with your kids in a way that works. And that's the challenging part of the process. One of the services I provide is being a behavior detective for you. Having 20 years of experience working with kids with learning differences, I can sometimes see patterns that you as the parent can't see because the forest for the trees kind of thing. But anyway, this is a great example that happened in my house yesterday, and I just want to lead you through what happened because I realized that so many times when I'm trying to help one of my kids that's having a learning problem, it doesn't come in the form of, hey mom, I'm really struggling to stay caught up in this class. Could you give me some help? And then I go impart all of my knowledge. The problem is solved and we move on. That's how I want it to be, but that's not how it works. It usually goes something a little more like this. My child gets an F on one section of their French test. And I think, something's going on here. I wonder why they got such a low grade. So I go in to do a little investigating, right? Kind of try to figure out what's going on here. And of course, I don't get any information from my child other than, I don't know, I studied. So I decide to take a look at her French notebook. And we open it up and there's nothing in there. Okay, this is where Trish Thompson, superstar student, gets triggered. This is where I'm sitting here and I can feel all the words bubbling up in my throat. What? Are you stupid? How on earth could you not be taking notes? You're too old for this. We've gone over this before. All the things are coming up. And because of all of the work I've done, recognizing my own junk and knowing when I'm triggered and knowing that you cannot parent well if you're triggered. You can vent. You can spew all of your own stuff. That's not parenting. Now I know that. So instead of letting those words tumble out in an accusatory rage, I take a deep breath and I see them and I go, okay, now what do I do? So I take a pause and I think it through and I kind of process those emotions and realize what do I know for sure here? Professionally, working with kids with learning differences, what I know for sure is that kids do well when they can. Okay, kids do well when they can. And if there's something amiss in their schoolwork, like not taking notes, there's usually a reason there. There's an unmet need. There's a misunderstanding. There's something that they're struggling with, that they're not able to do that. So instead of getting angry and triggered, that helps me shift out of that place. Okay, that's the first step. Manage your own junk. Manage your own junk first before you go into a problem-solving conversation with your child. Otherwise, you will make them feel wrong, ashamed, accused, and then you will be mad that they're not a willing recipient of all of your help and knowledge, right? Okay, so that was step one. Deal with my own junk so that I can realize kids do well when they can, okay? So the next step is to get curious, right? Get curious around, well, what's going on here? There's something causing her to not do that. And it's not laziness and it's not, being a bad kid. I'm going to look at my notes because I had so much to say that I don't really want to miss anything. So if she's not taking notes, there's a reason. So I refrain from saying all the horrible things. It's my job as a parent, I told her, to make sure that she's getting all the skills she needs to flourish in life. Right? And one of those is, how do you take information from an outside source and process it and learn it and work with it? You got to be able to take notes, right? You got to be able to do the exercises in your notebook and follow along with a leader or a teacher who knows the information better than you. So that's my job here, is let's figure this out. So we sat down and we watched the video of that day's class. And immediately I was onto some clues. And this is what being a behavior detective is. You get curious, and then you get in the process with your child, and you start to gather clues as to what could the unmet need be. Well, immediately I noticed that my daughter, who had seizures for many, many years and was on Depakote for many years, has a fairly slow processing speed. So that means that it's hard for her to keep up. It takes her longer to think things through, to write them down, and to process them. So as this class is going, I was showing her how I would start by taking notes. I was noticing I was having a really hard time staying caught up, paying attention and actually hearing the information so that I'm understanding it and writing down all of the information. I noticed all I had time was to get the words down on the paper, and I wasn't even really listening or hearing what the teacher was saying. And I thought, okay, well, I don't have slow processing speed. Already I can tell why she stopped writing. The overwhelmed mind says no. The dysregulated brain doesn't learn. It goes into fight, flight, or freeze. And right in the first 5 minutes of this problem solving with my daughter, I noticed she was in flight and freeze. If I can't stay caught up, I just stop. Then, about 5 minutes into the video, there's a thing about sorting nouns into 3 different columns. She said it would take about 8 minutes, and then she'd be back and they'd move on with the lesson. So it took my daughter 25 minutes to do the 8-minute section. So in real time during class, when 8 minutes comes and she's barely gotten started and they're moving on to the next thing, what does that do to the brain? It dysregulates it. It's overwhelmed. It shuts down, fight, flight, or freeze. Now, a different child with a different personality might go into slamming the computer down, tearing something up, yelling at you for no reason, right? These things can look different, but if you think of what does fight, flight, or freeze look like, you can recognize when your child has moved into a dysregulated brain. And that's our signal that they need some help managing an unmet need, figuring out a lagging skill. And they're probably not going to tell you that or ask for your help. Okay? So step 1 was getting curious, and immediately I found 2 clues. I found 2 breadcrumbs to follow. And we were able to sit there and work through it. We did a whole session together. And I said, okay, so here's what I'm noticing. For me, that was really hard to keep up. How do you feel about it? Yes, I can't, right? I can't do it. Okay, great. Well, what would it feel like just to sit and listen to the lesson so you're kind of understanding it? And at the end, because it's recorded, go back and just write down the highlights that are on the slide so that you have something for your notebook. That also helps you remember for tests and other things, just writing it down as a memory aid. And you'll be caught up, but you won't feel overwhelmed. She's like, yeah, I can do that. So I was proud of myself because I can't tell you, my daughter's 14. There have been many, many other times where my stuff took over. We take a left turn into, you're too old for this. Why are you not writing things down? Why are you not asking for help? Judgment, right and wrong, put down, shame, and a stop sign for mom. Who's going to take help from the person that's shaming them, right? Duh. I mean, it sounds so stupid when you talk about it like that, but it's just what happens. And I'm sure it has happened to you before. So today, what changed was I recognized my stuff getting triggered and I paused and I reset myself so that I could parent. I reset myself so that I could parent. And to parent in this situation, I had to know that kids do well when they can. And if she wasn't doing the work, there was probably a reason. And I had to get curious and get in it with her. And what happened is because I understood how she felt and I wasn't judging her, we were able to connect, and that cleared a space for us to do that work together. So I did that, I found some clues, and we came up with a possible solution. And now what am I going to do? I'm going to have an accountability structure, step 4. So I said, hey, why don't I make sure that I'm checking each day just to make sure your notebook's building, you're staying on track, and you're feeling comfortable, and that the solution we came up with is working. Yeah, Mom, that'd be great. And she felt relieved. And there was not one piece of interaction there that made her feel less than. Kids with learning difficulties already feel less than. They don't need our help. So that's a great example of what being a behavior detective is, and the 4 steps that I took to get through that. Now, if you struggle with that, because that took a lot of learning and effort on my part. I'm a person with 20 years of experience, and I still struggle in applying it with my own kids. So if you need help, that's why I do consultations with families. I can help you along that behavior detective process. I can help you shift into more effective parenting modes. I can help you find clues and follow up and brainstorm solutions and find unmet needs. And I can help you with accountability structures. That's what I do. So look me up. I have a Facebook page, I have an Instagram page, and you can message me through any of those. This YouTube channel is brand new. This video is way too long typically, but I just couldn't make it shorter. But if you like the information you're hearing, if you want to hear more, comment, share, and like my page and subscribe. Okay? Trish Thompson, Learning Without Limits. I look forward to sharing more with you in the coming days. Bye.